Tonight, a question is all-consuming for the unfair press who are getting their marching orders from the Socialist Democrats. The Socialists are demanding accountability. Accountability for what, you might ask? Well, they want a reckoning for those who ever dared oppose them. They seek to criminalize opposing socialists and their anti-American policies. What should Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy do? We'll answer that question in tonight's preamble. It's been well chronicled that the GOP is losing support as more radicals are being elected on the Democrat-Socialist side. Unabashed conservatives are being elected to combat these radical leftists. Many are falling under the banner of Trumpism or the Patriot Party. These are entities willing to push back, actually push back against left-wing extremists. The fact that the go-along-to-get-along GOP is losing support disturbs many in the unfair and biased news outlets like CNN. Over the weekend, one of their dedicated left-wingers masquerading as a journalist, Dana Bash, expressed her worry that certain Republicans would be retiring from Congress. These Republicans have made it their mission to surrender their safety and security of their constituents to the likes of AOC, Ilhan Omar, Hakeem Jeffries, and Nancy Pelosi. The idea that real conservatives could be elected to replace Republicans like Senator Rob Portman, well, disturbs Bash and CNN very much.
You are now the third Senate Republican planning to retire after 2022, along with Richard Burr and Pat Toomey. Your party is facing a reckoning right now. People who are telling lies, like you were just talking about, pushing conspiracy theories, they're getting louder and louder. So isn't your silence or eventually your absence from, the party, from someone like you, going to make the party veer even more towards people who spew conspiracies and lies?
Conspiracies and lies. Oh, you mean like the two criminal investigations underway against the Biden family that CNN called an unfounded conspiracy theory before the election? Or what about these lies from CNN, lies that many believe led to violence?
A disturbing story out of Wisconsin. Yet another unarmed black man shot. Disturbing video last night showed Jacob Blake, unarmed, being shot by police. A black man, father of three, shot in the back at close range in front of his three children. He was unarmed.
They say that Mr. Blake was not unarmed, that he had a knife in his possession.
I'm rattled. I realized I had dropped my knife. I had a little pocket knife. So I picked it up after I got off of him. I shouldn't have picked it up.
CNN's Jake Tapper repeatedly lied about Jacob Blake being unarmed. Dana Bash doesn't seem overly concerned about that fact. There's a good reason for that. It's not the lies and conspiracy theories that Bash really opposes. It's lies and conspiracy theories that she and CNN are not in charge of. That's her issue, controlling the narrative. In truth, CNN and other biased cable outlets are only fearful that Republicans will push back on CNN's lies. These lies are designed to hold the GOP and conservatives to left-wingers' unfair standards. Over the weekend, if you didn't know the name Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, well, you do now. Democrats accuse Greene of liking some things on Twitter that the DNC now is just blowing up, so the biased press is dutifully amplifying this dishonest message. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other socialists have been trying to set up this predicate for weeks. They've attacked conservatives like Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Greene, Boebert, and countless others. Their crime? They are effective at pushing back against anti-American socialists. So left-wing extremists in the Democrat Party invent infractions they say that conservatives are guilty of, and then they demand accountability.
And actually, Kevin McCarthy's lack of holding his own caucus accountable is one major reason why I went to the floor last year to hold Yoho accountable myself. And so when I hear that Representative McCarthy is going to pull a member aside who has made white supremacist sympathizing comments, the thing that I think is, what is he going to tell them? Keep it up?
So the push is on for Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to do away with effective conservatives that CNN and AOC find unacceptable. Now, what should McConnell and McCarthy do? I'm going to answer that after we watch a presentation from our friends at Cauldron Pool.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Anti-American leftists for years have called for violence and uttered unacceptable things in the United States. None of them paid a price. Nobody was thrown in jail. Nobody lost their job. Nobody was expelled from Congress or any committee. Hell, none of them lost their Twitter account. Now CNN, MSNBS, and other Democrat socialists in Congress are all demanding that McCarthy and McConnell do something about GOP actions that have hurt Democrats' feelings. I have a suggestion as to what Republican leaders should do. Not a damn thing. Because that's exactly what the American left did to those left-wing extremists who poisoned civil discourse in our country for the past 5 years.